Hello folks, Christopher Noel coming at you today with a wild hypothesis. Especially wild, it will seem, to those of you who over the years have heard me reject many of the claims of supernatural abilities on the part of Sasquatch. People describe by the hundreds and probably thousands seeing Sasquatch and then suddenly seeing it disappear, or finding a single footprint and then no other prints around. Mike Patterson has been especially successful at documenting that last strange aspect. The one element of paranormal ability in this primate species that I have become convinced is absolutely authentic is telepathy. We ourselves, Homo sapiens, are sometimes gifted with psychic abilities as well, but it seems that Sasquatch have them in much greater concentration and with much greater potency than we do. I've gathered a lot of material about this from many testimonials from people who've experienced this dimension of Sasquatch in my book, Mind Speak. Now, I'm not just trying to sell books here. I don't care if you buy the book, but those of you who may happen to be interested in this topic and may not know before now that this book exists, and if you have $10, you might be interested. But if you're not interested, I commend you not to purchase this book. All right, so in Mindspeak, there are many instances described of Sasquatch being able to implant thoughts and visions, images, voices in our minds, and even to control what we think and where we go, and to confuse us when trying to put us off their trail, etc., etc., etc. Also, I have personally experienced 100% persuasive proof of what we call mind speak in my dealings with this species. That proof is detailed in that book. So I think that whatever the psychic aspect of our own minds is, it's much more forceful and prevalent in the Sasquatch species for whatever reason. Now, here's the part you may not expect. I know that ghosts are real. When I was 17 years old, I had a long-standing experience with a ghost that, from the beginning of my adulthood, convinced me beyond a shadow of a doubt that ghosts are a real thing. Many of you will have experienced something equally persuasive in your own life. And even if you haven't, you'll have heard, like I have, hundreds of credible accounts by people who have had visitations from loved ones who have just passed over, or from spirits of people who have passed over that they didn't know in life. I think there is life after death, and I think that dead people can manifest themselves to us. Okay. So how do these two things come together? I think that the part of us that is able to be separate from our flesh and blood brains enough to experience remote viewing or communication with other people at a great distance, I think that same reality inside of us is also what survives after death. So I think you can already see where I'm going with this. If Sasquatch has the same sort of capacity, only turned up to 11, I think that after they die, it's plausible to me that they are still able to manifest themselves within physical reality. And I think that this may account for many of the experiences people have with Sasquatch apparently coming inside their houses, manipulating objects, being invisible but obviously being right there nearby, making sounds, sometimes being partly visible. I think that it's more likely that these are Sasquatch dead than that Sasquatch in living form are able to go back and forth from dimension to dimension. This, of course, is just a hypothesis. I would never try to foist it onto others, but see what you think. I don't think there's any good reason not to take seriously the multitude of reports, and this includes Native American groups, many or even most of whom see Sasquatch as a spiritual being. There's no reason to dismiss these reports, but there's also no reason to jump to the conclusion that living Sasquatch are also spirits. After all, Patty didn't disappear or go semi-transparent, and if she had that ability, this would have been an awfully appropriate time to use it. Remember, Bob had his rifle trained on her, and of course she was being filmed, which they're not exactly into. Nothing about this figure suggests anything but a flesh and blood organism, with muscles and skin and breasts. This is my current thinking, that there are Sasquatch spirits and there are living Sasquatch, and that they work together probably in many instances, and that the non-living Sasquatch are able to mess with us on a different level from how the living Sasquatch do. A much higher percentage of people believe in the reality of ghosts than believe in the reality of Sasquatch. And I think they're both real. And I think that broadening our viewpoint on what the implications of that dual reality are for our understanding of what Sasquatch are capable of, especially given the fact that their psychic powers or their psychic faculties seem to be a lot more intense than our own. It may help to bridge some of the kind of contentious divides that hold our community back. If it's true, it can eventually lead us to formulate a more unified understanding of this species. So let me know what you think. Please be kind if you can. This is just something I'm putting out there that possibly others have put out there before, but I haven't heard it. If you know of other sources of information about this hypothesis, please let us know in the comments below. I would love to learn more about this possibility. Thank you.